So Corrections Corporation of America, the country's largest for-profit prison company, is admitting that in Ohio, they falsified records to make it seem like they were employing staff for longer hours when they really weren't. Now, the reason why they were doing that is because they have a contract with the state. The taxpayers actually end up paying Corrections Corporation of America because even though it's a private prison company, the state pays for it anyway because they're supposed to save the state money. But no, they're lying about the number of hours their employees are working, and as a result, taxpayers are paying them money for absolutely nothing.
Yeah, no, it's a great idea to privatize prisons because they'll really want to make sure that the prisoners are rehabilitated and put out back to society. Oh, no, they won't. They'll want to make sure, of course, they return to prison so they can make more profit. They'll have an incentive to, lard up the books and waste and fraud and abuse. And then, by the way, you can't fire them, right? Like if somebody did that, a warden did that, or a worker in a public prison did that, easy. You fire them.
Yep.
There's a consequence, right? Now, you can't get inside the private corporations' things and say, okay, fire that guy and this guy. Now, they might not renew their contract, but oftentimes the reason they got the contract in the first place is because they bought the politicians. So the politician is going to renew it anyway because all they want is their donor check.
Yeah.
So they don't give a damn.
So this is, a particular prison in Idaho, and it's like one of the largest prisons in Idaho, and they received a $29 million contract that is set to expire in 2014.
How many people in Idaho are in prison? There's like 175 people in the whole state. $29 million to run a prison.
Corrections Corporation of America will try to imprison every single one of them because that means money in their pocket.
Correction Corporation of America. How much does it sound like it's out of a movie or a novel? I mean,
it's like it's in 1984.
I know we say it too often, but we're living in 1984. Again, somebody picked up the book and thought, man, I think we could do that, right? Let's give it a shot.
Let's play it out for a second. Are my glasses growing on you at all? A
little bit.
What about now?
Totally.
Okay. So what's the ultimate punishment in a prison?
Life sentence, solitary confinement, death penalty.
Death penalty, right?
Right.
So how is it that we're comfortable as a society turning over control of the prisons to private corporations to do the state's work because it saves a little bit of money?
Which, by the way, of course, it doesn't.
Right, but under some machination of fudging numbers, it seems to save a little bit of money very briefly. When there are other, obviously, very key ways to save money. Stop sending guys with dope to prison, and then all of a sudden it would save less money. But forget that. So we're comfortable with the CCA and other private prison groups running these prisons. But as a society, at least at this point, maybe we will in 10 or 15 years, we are not comfortable with that private corporation carrying out the death penalty. We're not going to allow a private group of individuals you get to kill this guy now. But it's the same thing. If we're willing to let them do this, then we ought to be willing to let them execute people. But we never would.
Okay, so that's a great point, and I slightly disagree. So it's a great point in that when we take away somebody's liberty, it's, other than the death penalty, you're right, it's as serious as it gets. And how we treat them while we're taking away their liberty is also as serious as it gets, because they get to have leeway on whether they're going to do solitary confinement or not. Solitary confinement often winds up, if you do it long enough, is torture, right?
No judge sentences anybody to solitary confinement. It's all done inside the prison system.
That's right. And so giving them, these private corporations, like the power over our lives, our freedom, our liberties, etc., is such a miscarriage of justice and what the government is supposed to do in protecting its citizens that it's so unconscionable. But Ben, the part I slightly disagree with you is, I think at some point we will let them kill people.
That may be. I said maybe we will in 10 or 15 years, so I hope not. I think that right now the idea that the CCA would get to execute people would offend the sensibility of most Americans.
Well, let that frog boil just a little longer, and we'll see.
And they've been very successful in convincing people that the for-profit prison system makes a lot of sense because even though it makes absolutely no sense, there's like this very anti-union like mindset in the country right now. And when it comes to for-profit prisons, they don't have union jobs. So that's the way that they sell it to the American people. Like, oh, look at these public prisons, right? They have all these union workers and it's all waste, but we're going to get rid of that and we're going to save the money. But the reason why this whole audit came about in the first place is because inmates contacted the ACLU because there was a lot of violence within the prison because they were understaffed, okay? They were understaffed, but the logs, the pay logs indicated that they were overstaffed. They had like a lot of people, a lot of prison guards there, and that wasn't the case.
I mean, there's a million pieces of corruption within the private prison systems. Two more real quick, though. Sometimes they understaff, and so what they do is they wind up cutting deals with the gangs within the prisons. So the wardens will say, okay, I will reward the gangs for keeping order. So instead of punishing the gangs, they reward them, okay? It's because they don't care. All they care about is the profit. Who cares they're a gang? Who cares they killed somebody in prison? Who cares they raped someone? I don't care. Where's the money, Lebowski? Okay? And there was one other piece of corruption, but I forgot. But there's, like I said, there's a million with these.
Yeah.
Percentage of American workers private American workers in a union. You know the percentage?
I have no
About
idea.
7%, I think.
Yeah, it's under 7%. So like, I just remember when they're like hammering us like unions, unions, unions. Less than 7% of workers. The number is just over 10% if you include public unions.
So the other piece of corruption is what they do is, like, sometimes they'll take over a public prison and then they'll say, okay, now it's private, great. So what do? They fire everybody and they say, okay, now we're going to hire you back, but at less wages. Ha ha, sad day for you. Plus, we're not, your pension, that's no more pensions for you and no more health care for you. The government has to pick that up.
Yep.
So then they say, but that costs more actually, right? Oh, who cares? It's not under my accounting. Then I turn around and I say to you, hey, I ran the prison for less. Now, the government overall paid more because they had to pick up the pension and the health care, et cetera, of those workers. But ha-ha. And why does it work? It should never work under any circumstance because people believe what they want to believe. And if you give this argument to a politician after you gave him a $10,000 check, he wants to believe it's cheaper.
Yep.
And he does, and he will. And that's why it's running rampant throughout the country.